a good beat coming out. Moose and Keith with you on a Friday back together after I was off yesterday. You and Dave had a fantastic show, but I'm back with you, Keith, here for the next couple hours right up until high noon. Good morning, Keith. How you doing, bud?
Yo, what up? Everything good with you? All good? Yes?
Everything's good. Yeah, fresh haircut. Yeah,
I was gonna, you don't even need to tell me about I'm gonna hit you with a yo, okay? Because your hair is looking on point.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
we
looks
got new
good.
lights.
I was gonna say the lighting looks good too.
Camera. I mean, we got new everything. That's
You're using the new camera today.
I am using the new camera.
It's crystal clear.
Oh, yes. So I'm using the new camera. So we got some other things to work out from a setup perspective, but adjustments here. Adjustments.
And we have, we're going to have some adjustments, I believe, next week visually.
I don't know if it's going to be next week. It might be the week after.
Oh, it might be okay. All right.
Okay. It might be the week after. But we got some changes coming to not only our show, but the entire Better Sports Network, which is going to be fantastic. Looking forward to making that announcement. It'll be great. But we got a good show. Sharapan is going to rejoin us right around 11:30 this morning. We're going to talk a little bit baseball later on this hour as well. But let's kick it off with a little NFL, Keith, because the latest and greatest around Daniel Jones. And I talked about it with Corey when you were down in Dallas and you were off and you were going to see Cowboy Stadium and a Stars game and a Mavericks game. And we'll get into a little bit of NBA. We got some plays coming your way a little bit, but the story around Daniel Jones was that there was a report that got leaked out that he was looking for $45 million a year. Now, that got poo-pooed and they got knocked. It's all part of negotiations. Then we all of a sudden got into the conversation of trying Daniel Jones once again, whether or not he's good and how good is Daniel Jones. And then how dare he ask for $45 million a year? Doesn't he realize, what he's worth, what his value is? He's got to be out of his mind. I mean, all the hot takes go flying out there about the quality of the player that Daniel Jones is. And then you get the report from Pat Leonard, buddy of mine. I know you,
I love Pat.
Pat's great. I know you know him well.
Yeah.
Pat does a great job. Used to cover the Rangers for the Daily News before he transitioned over to the NFL and covering the Giants. And Pat had the story last night that indeed, Daniel Jones is asking for on average $45 million a year. So we've been to, anywhere between 35 to 37. That was the initial report. Connor Hughes, SNY. Vacchiano from Fox had the report that the sweet spot is probably 37. Then you get the report last night that Jones is looking for $45 million or more per year from the Giants. Now, couple that with the fact that Joe Shane made the rounds yesterday out in Indianapolis, NFL Scouting Combine. And aside from who are you looking to draft or what do you think about, when he's talking about the players and salary cap space, often asked about Saquon Barkley and clearly asked about Daniel Jones and said, well, we're not as close as we'd like to be, but there is still time in order to hammer out a deal that they've met repeatedly. I think they've met Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Not sure if they met Thursday, Shane and the Giants with Daniel Jones representatives. But here we are with the Giants quarterback, which frustrates me because, I'm a Jones guy. I like Daniel Jones as a quarterback. I think he's good. And I love when people get all flabbergasted or up in arms about what a player is looking for when by all rights, by everyone that's listening to the sounds of our voice this morning, if you're in a job, everyone's looking to make more money or maximize their value.
I don't have a problem with Daniel Jones or his new representation asking for the money. I really don't. Because what if the Giants say yes? Then you made the money, right? So now I do think there's the negotiation factor here. And I'm with you. I'm never going to tell a player or get on these airwaves and be like, he's not worth that. He's garbage. He's trash or anything like that. Like, whatever. You're worth what someone's willing to pay you. Okay. And if the Giants are willing to pay him that number, then God bless him. Take the money and run. Now, Ernie was talking to me before the show, and I want to give him credit for this line. Like, maybe it's just a matter of Jones and his representation realize he may never be able to strike for this again. Because while you love Daniel Jones, and I like Daniel Jones more than most people probably do. I wouldn't say that I love him necessarily, but I like him a lot, and I think he could be a very solid NFL QB. If he never has a better year than he had last season, he's never seeing this money again. So why not try to capitalize on it right now? Now, the problem becomes this. When you look at the other QBs that are making this type of money, and then the QBs that are not making this type of money, it's essentially going to make him a top 5, top 6 QB payment-wise. And that's where people get their, underwear in a bunch, because they're like, he's not Aaron Rodgers, he's not Mahomes, he's not this. Okay. But for the New York Giants, Rodgers is available, but none of those QBs are available. So if dance with the devil that you brought to the dance, right? Or dance with the date that you brought to the dance. Like, Daniel Jones had a really good year last year, and the assumption is it's only going to get better. That would be the belief, right? $45 million seems like a lot. I have another theory too, Moose. All right?
What's that?
And I don't know if this has, you tell me if you think this has any legs, because obviously the franchise tags are a part of this too. What if Daniel Jones spoke with his reps, and the reps are like, you know what? We don't think New York is the right place for you with the Giants. If we got you out on the open market, I think we can get more for you. We can maximize, we can do this, we can that, and the other thing. We've all been in dating situations where we wanted to break up with the other person, had no idea how to do it. So you start doing dumb things so that they break up with you. What if he and his reps are trying to be like, all right, just break up with me, Giants, and let me move on?
Maybe. I mean, but I guess my question would be why? You just had an unbelievable year. Like, why
Maybe
would
he doesn't
Jones
believe in the Giants? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It was just something that popped into my head.
Well, here's one thing that to lend, if you wanted to add a little bit more to that.
Yes.
You've heard from Saquon Barkley time and time again that he wants to be a Giant. You have not heard that from Daniel Jones.
Yeah, he's quiet.
Like, he's been quiet. Like, and I don't know. I'm not there every day on a day in, day out basis during the course of the regular season. I don't know if Daniel Jones is getting that asked repeatedly, like Saquon Barkley was getting asked it repeatedly. So we know Barkley grew up a Giant fan, wanted to be a Giant, was wearing the Giant hoodie, during the offseason before he got drafted, 2nd overall coming out of Penn State. I don't remember Daniel Jones, and maybe I'm dead wrong. Maybe someone wants to throw it in the chat session. Maybe Daniel Jones came out one day and I missed it and said, yeah, this is the only place I want to play NFL football. This is the only place I want to be quarterback. I don't remember ever seeing that. I do remember that and hearing that repeatedly, time and time again from Saquon Barkley. So maybe it's a little bit a case of that. Maybe it's a case of, as you mentioned, Daniel Jones, who, you don't know how a career is going to go. Like, it's easy to say, well, just take, $35 million now, and say if Daniel Jones goes out this year and obliterates his knee, and then you only have 2 years guaranteed, is that really maximizing your value? See, the Giants didn't have any kind of couldn't foresee the future here, and I understand that's very, very difficult to do, but Jones made that entire organization believers. Shane and Daboll have painted themselves in a corner because they both came out after the season and said Daniel Jones is going to be our guy. Now, they can use the franchise tag. They could have him back for $32.4 million. Giants don't want to do that because that would hamstring them when it comes to free agency and salary cap space, because they have I think after the Galladay move, it'll probably be around $50 million in salary cap space. So they don't want to do that, because when you sign a guy to a new contract, you can restructure it and make the money work for you, to where you put in signing bonus, you can put it over the length of the deal, you can minimize the salary cap hit, even though he's making a high annual average, right? So there's ways that you could work it with a salary cap. That's why the Giants don't want to do it. But they made it clear, worst case scenario, Daniel Jones is going to be the Giants quarterback, and it'll be under the franchise tag, and he'll make $32.4 million in 2023.
Yeah.
And he won't make the $45 million. But if he has another banner year and plays really, really well, the number is just going to precipitously go higher, because the National Football League last year, I believe the number is $18 billion. Like, in revenue in 2022. Like, the NFL's revenue in 2022 was $18 billion. Like, it's insane the amount of money the National Football League makes year in and year out, and TV contracts come into play. So the players all see that. And so if Daniel Jones is looking to use his leverage, so be it. Doesn't necessarily mean he's going to go out there and get it. But here's the other thing, Keith, long story long is this. How much credit did we give both Daboll and Shane over the course of the regular season.
In what sense?
Like how much credit? Like, did we speak glowingly of them?
Well, I don't remember ever talking about Shane, but I don't typically talk about like upper management. But I think that a lot of the credit was given to Brian
him a
Daboll.
lot of credit.
A lot for Daboll, at least. Yes.
Right. Hodgins picking him up off the scrap heap. Some of the moves that they made, retooling the offensive line. The offensive line wasn't as big of an issue in 2022 as it has been for the last decade because it was a consistent issue under Dave Gettleman toward the end of Jerry Reese's tenure with the Giants as well. Like if sports talk radio in New York, you consistently talked about the offensive line. So Shane made it perfectly clear when he took over, he was going to address it. So, and maybe it was just me. I gave Shane a lot of credit. Daboll was obviously coach of the year. Daboll is getting accolades left and right.
I feel like I always tend to give more credit to the coach than general manager. Maybe it's just a Keith Irizarry thing.
Here's the thing. Are they stupid now? Like whatever you want to say, like, are you now going to look at that duo and as much as bright as we wanted to paint them, now are they dumb? Like, did they all of a sudden become the town idiot overnight to where now they're going to sign Daniel Jones to a contract that doesn't work for the Giants organization? Because Shane also, as he said that he wants Daniel Jones back and Saquon Barkley back, he also said, this is a business and you got to take the emotion out of the game. So I think Giant fans should just kind of pump the brakes and relax a little bit. You could feel whatever you want to feel about the quality of player that Daniel Jones is. It's all part of the negotiations process. I think he, without a shadow, as I'm sitting here talking to you, Keith, I'm 100% confident that Daniel Jones is going to be the Giants starting quarterback in 2023. I really do.
Because they'll franchise him. Worst case scenario, he's going to be in the franchise tag.
He's going to be there. And I don't think management now is all of a sudden dumb. Like they're going to figure something out. And if a long-term deal doesn't work out, they'll give him the franchise tag and they'll get back to negotiations whenever they can. If Daniel Jones has another banner year and elevates his play once again, that's a good problem to have. You know why? Because you have a franchise quarterback that is going to be a difference maker. And is it just at the, 6 years in, just at the start of his NFL career, and he's going to be your quarterback for the next 7, 8, 9 years, as long as he stays healthy. That's a good thing to have because there's a lot of teams out there that are searching for quarterbacks.
Let me ask you a question. And just because first time that you and I have talked about this portion of it, what do you, when you use the qualification of franchise QB, what qualifies as a franchise QB?
Can I win a Super Bowl with him?
Okay, so Daniel Jones.
I think
my answer would be yes. Can you win a Super Bowl with him?
Right. Can I win now? Is he? So it's a great question to ask, Keith, because we all get into these debates, sports bar debates, whatever, walking down the street, sitting there watching your kids play Little League, and people are bide the time and talk a little bit about quarterbacks or where players rank. You do it all the time at MLB, NHL Network, all that stuff. We do it right here on the Better Sports Network. So, yeah, that's the way I look at it. Now, people are going to say, well, I mean, is he Patrick Mahomes? No, he's not. He's not Aaron Rodgers. I'm not going to tell you that Daniel Jones is Justin Herbert. My question is, yes, it's got to look different. Like we were talking about the Jets quarterback scenario. Can you win with Carr? Yes. Can you win with Rodgers? Yes. Can you win with Garoppolo? Well, yes. But the pathway to victory all looks different with all three quarterbacks. They're not one and the same. Mm-hmm. So if you look at quarterbacks that are franchise quarterbacks in the NFL, it's all going to look different. It's not going to be, not every scenario is the same situation. Not every quarterback does the same exact things. But I think you've seen with Jones is that this year was a revelation kind of a season for a lot of those Giants players, and Jones being obviously at the top of the list.
Let me read a few things from our chat. Jessica chimes in. Important distinction: win with him or because of him. Jacob Assa then brings in, Niners fan, brings in the Jimmy G stuff about being a franchise QB doesn't mean that he's a franchise quarterback.
Let me ask you, did the Giants win that playoff game against the Vikings with him or because of him?
Because of him. I mean, he did things that have never been done. Yeah, no, I'm with you, by the way. Like, I think that now franchise QB can be top 15 QB in the NFL. Like, that's a top half QB. But, like, if you went through the NFL, Buffalo's got a franchise QB. Miami may not. Right? We're not sure about Tua.
Yeah, because
he's talented.
He's thrown around like a rag doll. I have no idea if he's going to hold up.
Did you see that he's doing like jujitsu or something like that now? He's learning he's doing like karate. Like what I don't know which type of karate he's doing. He's doing karate to learn how to fall.
Great. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I did see that story and I saw that one pop. That good for Tua. Like
seems like a nice guy. Seems like a hard worker.
Yes, no doubt. If you watch that documentary, I think it was on Fox on Tua that they did. I believe it was Fox Sports 1 that put out
FS1. Yep.
That put out that doc on him. There's a lot to like about Tua Tagovailoa. So I just would have reservations about him, even with him taking jujitsu, of him being able to hold up. But to your point, yes. I don't know. I mean,
we don't know. So
I have no idea about Tua Tagovailoa. And it's not based on the fact that I don't think he can play. I think he showed this past year with Waddle and Tyreek Hill that he can play. I don't know if the next play is going to be the one that he suffers yet another injury and goes out.
So you got the Bills with a franchise QB. Miami will say no. Mac Jones, are we going to differ on this one? Do you really think he's a franchise QB?
No, I think it's hard after the past year. I think,
And the Jets don't have one yet. They hope that they're going to get one. Cincinnati's got one, obviously. Baltimore, I guess we can't put them on the list because we don't know what's happening with Lamar.
Yeah, but let's
go under the assumption he signs.
Let's go under the assumption he signs. Baltimore.
I would not say that Pittsburgh knows for a fact that Kenny Pickett is a franchise QB.
I think you like where he's trending. I don't think you can say right now he's a franchise quarterback.
Cleveland has one?
I would say he is.
Okay. You would say Pickett, yes?
No, I would say Watson is.
All right, Watson is. So we're at 4 in the AFC. We know Trevor Lawrence is. Tennessee does not have one. Indy does not have one. Houston does not have one. So out of the 12 teams in the AFC, oh wait, I'm sorry, I forgot about the West. Mahomes, yes. Herbert, yes. Vegas, no. And Russell Wilson?
Yeah, I would say no at this stage.
So 7 teams out of the 16 in the AFC. So less than half of the teams have a franchise QB in the AFC.
Yeah, and so right. And then
NFC.
You want to do the NFC? Let's do it.
NFC Eagles, yes.
Yes.
Dak, I think the book is out, but I guess you got to say yes.
Yeah. Washington, no.
Washington, no. Giants, well, let's just leave them over here because we don't know yet, but that's the reason we started this. Does Minnesota have a franchise QB? Yes, right, I guess?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, Cousins. Goff in Detroit?
I would probably say no, but...
Agreed. Green Bay doesn't have one because we don't know who the QB is. We think the Bears have one in Justin Fields, but there's the Mike Tannenbaums of the world are saying that the Bears should trade him. So
yeah, I think the Bears have one in Fields.
So do I. Okay, good. That's 4. Tampa, no. Carolina, no. Saints, no. Falcons, no. Knock out the entire NFC South. The Niners don't know what they have.
Right, and it seems like they're backtracking on Trey Lance right now.
Yep. Seattle, I don't think Geno's a franchise QB. He's a stopgap right now.
Right. Stafford, I have no idea where he is health-wise. If Stafford's healthy, he is. So you want to say 10?
I'll say yes to Stafford. So that's 5 in
Arizona,
the NFC.
Kyler Murray.
Has to be. So 6.
Even though he's a pain in the rear end.
13 of 32 teams in the NFL have guys that you would legitimately say, yes, that's my franchise QB. And I think you add in Daniel Jones. So 14 of 32 is what I would say.
Right. 14 to 32. So
less than half.
Yeah. And so that's where we're at. That's why Daniel Jones is asking for what he's asking for. Like we just ran through and Keith did a good job of running through each and every team in the NFL. That's what his agency is running through.
Yeah.
Saying, listen, you are without a shadow of a doubt a top 15 quarterback in the NFL, and you are on the ascent. And you came off a banner year. Like, you should get paid. The Giants didn't believe. I'll tell you, if it's not the Giants, and he'll be back with the Giants because they can use that franchise tag. Other teams, Washington, there would be, as you ran through the list of teams that don't have quarterbacks, don't you think if Daniel Jones was free and clear and set to hit free agency, his number would be
every NFC South team.
Oh my God,
Washington, the Titans. Yeah. Yes. By the way, I will throw out that Derek Carr and Jimmy Garoppolo are both on the market. They will both get signed by somebody, so they will be franchise QBs for someone.
For sure, but we're also talking about 2 different things. Like Carr's looking to go to a winner.
Yes.
Like Carr's looking to get paid and go to a winning team. Jimmy Garoppolo, the concern is about him staying healthy. Now, you can make the argument, well, Daniel Jones can't stay healthy. Rodgers is in a different class. Number one, he controls his destination. Number two, they don't want to trade him to an NFC team. He'd be going to an AFC team. So that's completely, different. He signed a, $150 million guaranteed contract extension last offseason. So Rodgers is in a different class. Like, let's put Aaron Rodgers as, out of this because he's just in a different realm. Jones, when you look at all these other teams that are desperate to try and find that quarterback, when you have, and we talked to one draft expert after another, and they tell you, well, this quarterback class is not as good, say, as as years gone by. It's good, but there's concerns about this group. You mean to tell me like Carolina and Frank Reich, any NFC South team, like there's so many teams that would line up if Jones was free and clear. Washington, as they're going through their stuff, that he would make $44 million, $45 million a year on average if he was an open market free agent. I really firmly believe like that number would not be 37 million, because sometimes desperate times call for desperate measures, and there are a lot of desperate teams out there looking for a quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the numbers too, like Rodgers 50 million, Wilson 49, Murray 46, Watson 46, 45 for Mahomes. These are per year. And again, I know the guarantees make things different. Josh Allen's at 43. Derek Carr would have been at 40. And Dak is at 40. Stafford at 40. Cousins at 35.
Yeah, I mean.
And the reason I do that is to say this. We went through all the QBs. It's probably why the number of Daniel Jones asking for 45 is not as insane as it sounds.
Right. And let's be honest, we're a finicky fan base when you look at the NFL. Like you bring up Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins got roasted for throwing the ball short on the 4th down play.
Right.
However, the Minnesota Vikings, the only reason they were in that game against the Giants in that wild card round was because of Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
He was brilliant in the game up until that point in time. And they had no defense whatsoever to lean in on or lean on and get a stop in that game. So like it's sometimes it's how you view the player. And people rip Kirk Cousins for getting the contract that he got. But let's be honest, he went to a spot and he's been a really productive quarterback in Minnesota. And if things are right, I believe you can get to a Super Bowl with Kirk Cousins. Now, is he going to make up for some of the ills on a team like Patrick Mahomes could, or like an Aaron Rodgers in his prime MVP Aaron? No, I don't know if Kirk Cousins can't get to that level, but doesn't necessarily mean that there's not value to the player regardless.
Jacob Assa says a true franchise QB is supposed to be elite and a difference maker. So difference maker, yes. I think the word elite, I don't know if elite means like, I don't know if you have to be elite to be a franchise QB.
I'm having flashbacks. I don't mean
Flacco and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, it's Eli.
You
can't spell elite without Eli. Like when Eli had the Michael Kay interview and said he deserves to be in the conversation of Tom Brady. Remember how much that outraged NFL fans and then Giant fans are walking around with the Eli shirts? Like, I'm just having flashbacks to those days. Okay. So, but let me ask you this: like, if I take Daniel Jones, and if I'm going to go by Jay Cabas's definition, a true franchise quarterback is supposed to be elite and a difference maker. So, is Eli Manning elite?
No.
Was he a great regular season quarterback? No. No, he was not.
I mean, doesn't he have more interceptions than touchdowns in his career? Or it's close, right?
Yeah, no, he doesn't have that.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. It's the record, right? He's under 500 for his career.
I forget what that. I don't remember that. I thought did he have the most interception? I forget what the record. I just don't look at like I used to get into
exactly 500, 118 and 118. That was
there.
The
You go.
All right, knew there was something. Yeah.
I don't exactly. I used to get into these conversations with Giant fans all the time about Eli Manning, about where he was, and all you need to know is when the moments were the biggest, he played his best. It wasn't during the regular season, and he had great moments. So if I tell you, okay, we're getting to this conversation about Daniel Jones, say in the next 10 years you win 2 Super Bowls with Daniel Jones. Who the hell cares what happens during the course of the regular season? Like, Giant fans are still ecstatic about 2007, 2011, and those great Super Bowl runs. So I think it's interesting. I think there's different levels and ways that you define a quarterback. I look at it where I think I can win with Daniel Jones, I'm not going to tell you that the reason why I win every single time is going to be because of that quarterback. And if you're going to use that, well, then you're going to dwindle that number of 11, 12, 14 guys that we had, or less than that.
To probably 5 or 6.
Probably 5 or 6. Then there's only...
we know that Mahomes is elite, right?
Correct.
I think we can safely say that Burrow is elite.
Yes, I would say Burrow's elite. Josh Allen.
I feel comfortable saying that Josh Allen is elite.
Yes.
I feel comfortable. I don't even know if I would be. You know what?
Throw Jalen Hurts in. Jalen Hurts is going to make $50 million a year. He's going to throw Jalen Hurts into the equation.
Yeah, I mean, I want to, and the Eagles fan of me wants to, but like I've seen QBs be really, really great for 2 years and then fall off. I'd like to see Hurts do it more than just a year and a half.
Okay, so you want to see more. So you're going to take Hurts out of it because you need
I'm taking Herbert off the board now too.
Yeah, I don't think he's done enough.
Trevor Lawrence looks like he's going to be elite, but again, we had one good year and one terrible year.
Yes.
So like by the definition of elite, I mean, I guess Rodgers would qualify as elite.
Rodgers when he's focused and take away the drama and the nonsense.
Who else is elite? So we have 4 elite QBs. Lamar Jackson, maybe.
Yeah, I would say Lamar is.
I mean,
Lamar is.
Yeah. So 4 or 5 QBs that would qualify as elite. Yeah, I think we need to be careful with the word elite when discussing a franchise player. A franchise player doesn't have to be elite. A franchise player needs to be a difference maker. And I think there's a big distinction there between those two words/phrases.
Well, I think people have a hard time changing narratives when they look at players because it becomes comfortable. And the narrative about, say, as we opened up the conversation on this Friday, talking about Daniel Jones with the latest in his contract demands in the NFL coming out of the scouting combine in Indianapolis was, the thought coming in was that Daniel Jones wasn't good.
Yeah.
And he had a great year. And then it's like, well, no, it was all because of the coaching. I think it's a mix of both. Coaching matters in the NFL, and you got to give the player whose back goes up against the wall, fighting for his NFL future, where some people thought maybe Tyrod Taylor eventually was going to be the starting quarterback this year, had a very, very good season. The Giants won and is now looking to take advantage of that. So, but people want to continue to go back to, the old perception of what Daniel Jones was as a player. That's fine. And he's got to go out there and continue to do it. And you want to say, well, I'd be more comfortable having it under a franchise tag, even though I'll be limited, because I just want to take a wait and see approach with that. All well and good. The Giants did that this past year, and they could have locked him up for $22 million this year. They said, you know what? No, let's see what he does this year. He did it. Now he's asking for double that amount per year on average from the Giants. So you got to be careful sometimes. You got to have a little bit of foresight if you're management, but give Jones a lot of credit. He put himself in this position by having the year he had.
I love our chat. They're going after each other about their QBs too. Baby J and Jacob Assa are having a little quarrel. It's very nice.
Yes. You know what we're going to chat with you next? Danny Vietti.
Yes.
Talk a little baseball.
Nice. Wake and rake.
Well, yes, that's exactly right. We're going to talk a little baseball. I'm happy. I'm excited baseball is in the air. I really am. Later on this month, the regular season gets going.
Do you know how much fun yesterday and the day before was for me? So I was in our studios for NHL Network, but we shared everything. NHL Network, MLB Network, you work under one umbrella. Just walking around, it just felt great. I was hanging out with Ariel Epstein and Lauren Gardner yesterday.
Oh, look at that. Hobnobbing.
Yeah.
Did you have a cappuccino?
No.
Espresso with a twist of lemon peel?
No drinks or anything. All right, so peel back curtain. It literally was Ariel, LG, Gina, the makeup artist, Marty, one of the producers, and Billy, one of the social media guys. And we all just literally for about a half hour just hung out in the makeup room talking.
Look at that. That's nice.
That was good.
A little bonding.
But yeah, and then I got a chance to see like a bunch of our like the Better's Eye producers and stuff like that. It just felt great. Baseball is back, baby. Let's
really
go.
Is. I'm fired up. That
Yeah.
means warm weather. That means beaches. That means the pool. That means I'm going to be coming over to the Arizaris this summer.
Open invitation.
Fresh with my banana hammock and hopping into the pool.
Invitation removed.
Danny Vietti joins us next. We'll talk a little bit.
Joining us. Watch him hang up.
It's Moose and Keith with you right here on a Friday Better Sports Network.
Talk about your picks and your fantasy teams on Better Sports Network.
The importance of checking out the site that you're playing on. Default rankings of these sites. A lot of times they don't get updated. I know from experience. I used to write default rankings for the NFBKC, the basketball version of the NFBC. I'd write these default rankings in June for the NBA, before the NBA draft, before free agency opened up. And guess what? I was never asked to write an update article or update the default rankings. This happens a lot. Maybe if there's something obvious, it gets updated. Aaron Judge, for some reason, hurts his back. Maybe they make that change. Just maybe. But you don't know that. And that's why it's just so important that you show up to your draft room or you do that pre-draft prep. We're all busy. We know we're about to devote a lot of time to our fantasy baseball drafts. Why not spend the extra 20 to 25 minutes to invest properly in your team, to go and see which of those players are way down default rankings? They're going to be different on all of these sites, and you're going to be looking at them and going, maybe their analysts think a certain player who shouldn't be in the top 100, who should be maybe even not even the top 200, will be in that top 100. You got to check that out. You got to know where you're playing, just like you got to know your format when you sign up for the league. It's just so crucial, and people just skip right over it. You think it's cool to show up to the draft room 3 minutes before the draft. Well, number one, it's not cool because the commissioner's trying to make sure it's organized, especially me, who runs auctions. You can't, it's one thing if someone doesn't show up for the snake draft. Oh, well, doesn't ruin it for everyone. Auctions, you can't have someone not show up. Auto bidding, auto auctioning, it ruins the sanctity of those drafts here, which is why I always recommend, hey, make it easy on your commissioner. Don't make them send those texts there. It's annoying. You shouldn't have to do that. Don't wait till the last minute and get in there about 20, 25 minutes before so you can just look up and down the entire default rankings list so you can make a queue out of that, Ron. And the reason I keep saying this is because people still show up 2, 3 minutes before the draft, and that's it. In fact, in one of my auctions, people were asking me where certain players were, and I go, did you search their name? No, I just got in. Well, that's no excuse right there. That's your own fault. I mean, you're organized, so when you're a hard person to ask here.
You're getting those questions. This is your preschool league, right? People don't know how to search player names.
People freak out. They don't think. That's the problem. Because they show up 2 minutes before the draft. That's why.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com. Weekdays at 5 Eastern on Better Sports Network. It's Moose and Keith with Mark Malusis and Keith Irizarry.
Good one. Who's not looking for more money? Danny Vietti joins us now. Tremendous name to a podcast. Wake and Rake. Talk a little baseball. It's in the air. Danny, Mark Malusis, Keith Irizarry with you and Danny does a great job, CBS Sports. Thanks for the time this morning. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it, guys. Good time to be a baseball fan, right?
Oh, yeah.
Really is. Let's start here with the rules, Danny, because Keith and we talked about this last week when everyone was like up in arms and we saw the initial reaction to, the new rules. I'm not against it. Like watching Wandy Peralta strike out a guy yesterday in 20 seconds. Like, you know what? That's not bad. Like that really isn't like a pace of play. Sitting there watching the game for 2.5 hours, and I love baseball. You love it. Keith works for the MLB Network. He loves baseball. I'm a huge Yankee fan, but I'm all for bringing steals back in the game, having more action, having more of a rhythm to the game. To me, I think this is change that's needed for Major League Baseball. What's your take, Danny?
I've kind of been on this train for quite a while, and you're going to get flack anytime you want change to national pastime, right? With this one in particular, I think, one, you're going to reach new audiences, and so far we've seen that. Small sample size. Secondly, I think baseball's been so behind the times. I mean, the NBA adopted a shot back in the 1960s. The NFL, similarly, with the play clock. We've had other sports that are competing with Major League Baseball adopt similar rules. Baseball's been frankly behind the times when it comes to rule updates. So everyone freaking out about the rule I get it because baseball has so much history, but this was a long time coming. And your example of the 20-second strikeout yesterday, visually, if you're just looking at the headline, 20 seconds for one strikeout is ridiculous. But if you actually watched it at bat, it was Tucupita Martinez. He actually got into the box with 14 seconds still on the pitch clock. So if people are thinking, well, hitters don't have enough time to get in the box, Marcano it was his choice to get in the box at 14 seconds. If he wanted to wait, take a deep breath, take a couple more seconds, he had that 8-second mark to get in the box. So there's a little bit of leeway. It's up to determine how much leeway there is.
Yeah, and I actually harken back to the NFL when everything was about the crowning, right? Like you crown, you lead with the crown, it's gonna be a penalty. We saw it get called a lot early on. There will be some judgment here. I know that people don't want to hear this, but we might have to actually trust the umpires to use their own judgment. I know that's scary sometimes, but I don't think this is something that will cost someone a playoff game. Ultimately, I don't. And I think the players will adjust. And the 26 minutes of less baseball? No, it's 26 minutes less of this and this and this. I'm okay with it. We'll all adjust. From a betting standpoint, though, Danny, how do you think maybe this changes how you'll view some of the games? Let's go pitch clock first.
Yeah, I think early on in the season, my guess is that offense is going to be impacted the most because we've seen so far that pitchers are controlling it. Batters are having a hard time figuring out what routine they're going to have when they're walking up to the dish. They've had these same routines since they were probably in Little League. Some of them, like you said, some of them like to fix their gloves. Some of them like to take a trip around the block when they foul a ball off. Carlos Correa fouled a ball off and started to take his little stroll around. All of a sudden, that little light bulb clicked on in his head, and he got the box and stepped in. Well, the next pitch, he took a strike. He wasn't quite ready for the next pitch. I think pitchers are going to have the advantage early on. I think as time goes on, people will get more comfortable with it. The kinks will get worked out. My co-host on the Wake and Rake podcast made a really strong point saying that he saw a bit of a loophole when it came to the 8-second rule with the hitter getting in the. He made the argument that typically a batter waits for the pitcher to get on the mound before the batter then gets ready. We're getting called for not being in the box by the 8-second mark, but the pitcher wasn't ready either. So the hitter is waiting for the pitcher to get ready, but the hitter is kind of waiting, and so the second mark, but he can't do it. And so because the pitcher isn't ready either, so he's kind of stumbling, and all of a sudden hitters are getting called for that 8-second call. Pitcher isn't ready either.
So letter of the law, it's when the pitcher actually has possession of the ball, right? And that's where it's going to get dicey too, because just because he has the ball, is he actually ready to pitch? And as for the guy in the box, and I'll bring out the bat, right? So we went over this. Like, am I if the pitcher is there, the question is going to be, am I ready if I'm going like this, or am I ready if I'm looking at the pitcher? Letter of the law is I'm supposed to be looking at the pitcher. Doesn't matter what I'm doing with my bat. So that's where some of the issues are going to come with that as well. Next thing betting-wise for you, Danny, is stolen bases. Should we be looking more at a higher stolen base number because the pitchers can't throw over to first as much, only twice per at-bat, the bigger bases as well? Do you think guys are going to be running more?
I absolutely think so. We've already seen guys have green lights so far in spring training. That's to be expected. We saw an increase, again, small sample size from last year's first week in spring training to this year's first spring training. Your spring training stolen base numbers were down to 0.88 stolen base attempts through the first through spring training last year. Within the first week, it's hovering around 1.5 stolen base attempts per game. So that's nearly double of what we saw compared to last season. As much the larger bases, I don't think that's going to make as much of an impact. It might make an impact on a and you really notice it by just optically watching the play. But I think the rules favor stolen bases more. I think the league is incentivizing stolen bases more. They want more action, and thus I think we will see a higher stolen base attempt mark this year.
All right, Danny, let's talk about some teams. Well, let's start with teams that we can get to some individual like player props or like markets when you look at Cy Young MVP. Floor's yours. Give me a team that you absolutely love this year, and give me a team that you think is getting some pub that you're going to be fading, that you have concerns about, at least at the start of the MLB season later on this month.
Yeah, it's hard not to love San Diego and what they're doing. And they have just hit the ground running and just kept on going. What he's done with that, guys, he has turned a team that was the second lowest payroll in Major League Baseball back in 20, I think it was. And then now here in 2023, he's projected to have the second or third highest payroll behind the Mets and Yankees. That's remarkable when you consider the market that they play in, the division that they play in. The only problem with San Diego is they also play in a division with the Los Angeles. You asked me a team that I'm a little concerned with. Remarkably, it's actually the Dodgers. You lose your starting shortstop in Trey Turner. You lose your starting center, Teddy Bellinger. We've seen Clayton Kershaw drop out of the World Baseball Classic. May that be precautionary? May it be? Maybe that's concerning Kershaw's injury history. They're hoping to get Dustin May, who they've loved for years but hasn't been able to stay healthy. I have some question marks when it comes to their starting rotation being able to stay healthy. Tony Gonsolin had surgery 2 years ago. He was great last year, but then the playoff out. I think the NL West right now is the Padres to lose. That said, it is the Dodgers, and we've seen the Dodgers for more than a decade now. That's something I'm glued in on, though, because I think the Padres have the most talent on paper. And then we just saw the injury to Gavin Lux at shortstop go down. I think the Dodgers, known for their depth, their biggest assets in recent years, right now it's looking pretty slim for them.
Yeah, the trickle-down effect of the Gavin Lux injury is going to be huge just because you got to move people around and try to figure out. I know Mookie Betts was saying, I'll play second base if you need. Like, there's a lot of different things that happen there. Let's go to the East. When you look at, Braves, Phillies, Mets, we'll stop there for now. That top three, crazy formidable. Who do you like the best in that division?
Are we talking regular season or playoffs here?
Let's go regular season because we'll do futures for, like, if we're talking win totals or we're talking about winning the division, who would you go with?
The reason I asked that question is because I think the Mets are better suited for a playoff run than maybe more than the other three, just because of that starting rotation that they have.
Yeah.
And the veteran leadership that they have. Regular season, it's going to come down to who gets hot and who stays the most healthy. Looking on paper, all three of those lineups are fantastic, 1 through 9. I mean, the Braves with their young talent, guys like Austin Riley, Ozzie Albies, and Ronald Acuna, hopefully this year, those are their two centerpieces right there. They really haven't been healthy each of the last 2 seasons. I expect Ronald Acuna Jr. to have, peak form. With the Mets and their ability to spend money, and they're going to do things at the deadline, expect Steve Cohen to deadline no matter where they're at in the division midseason. And then the Phillies were the team that were in the World Series last year. And then they added to their lineup as well and bringing in Trey Turner, who is arguably the best shortstop in baseball. I hate to kind of, make a soft pick here, but I think obviously you didn't mention the Marlins. I don't think the Marlins are going to be winning the division anytime soon, but they have an interesting, maybe they get into the wild card mix. But in regards to who wins the division, I truly think any of those top 3 teams could do it. It's going to come down.
All right, so I'm going to make you make a pick. Here we go. All right, so this is what I'm going to do just for fun. All right, so if I say Phillies, 88.5 wins, okay, I will say the Mets at 94.5. And where are the Braves? The Braves are at 94.5. So Braves and Mets are 94.5. Phillies are 88.5. Obviously, depending on what book, it might be up or down one number. If you were forced to take one of those 3, I'm forcing your hand. What are you taking?
I'm going to go Mets. Just the fact that they won 100-plus games last season, and then they're able to bring in Justin Verlander now. They're able to re-sign Brandon Nimmo. And you bring in they have top prospects like Francisco Alvarez, who could potentially play a big mid-season as well.
Ronnie Mauricio, Vientos.
Yeah, you bring in Kodasenga. I mean, they got some dudes on that team and more talent. So I got to go with the Mets if I'm picking one of those three. But I truly believe in all three of those teams. I mean, look what the Phillies did last season, and then Atlanta. It's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, one thing to keep note on with the Mets is, some of the latest coming out of Port St. Lucie is that they might, at certain points, not for extended stretches, but for certain points during the regular season, go to a 6-man starting rotation to make sure, to play your point, Danny, make sure that Verlander and Scherzer are both healthy come October, and a little bit of a limitation on Kodai Senga as well. So that's something to keep note of if you're looking at the Mets during the course of the regular season, when you're looking at that total number of 94.5. Because I agree with you, Dan. I think if you have Verlander and Scherzer, the Mets can go out and they're healthy and pitching at their best. They can go out there and win a World Series. Let's move over to the NL Central. Who do you like in the Central? Are you a Brewers guy? Or are you a Cardinals guy?
Not a Brewers guy at all. I just don't like what their front office is. I don't like the messaging that they're putting out. I mean, last season, you trade away Josh Hader, first place in the division, and then you don't acquire anybody into deadline. I understand that you bring in William Contreras. They brought in Jesse Winker, Seattle. They made some nice, typical Milwaukee moves, and their kind of recent history speaks for what that front office has been. They have been able to have recent success. They just had the issue with Corbin Burns coming out speaking openly about his arbitration. Didn't love that. That wasn't a great look either. And I understand that words are words, and at the end of the day, it comes down to who plays better. But I think, as proven last year, has more talent than Milwaukee. And two, the culture, that the winning culture and the attitude and character that is in St. Louis is greater than Milwaukee. And I think over a 162-game season, and we've seen it in recent history, that's going to play itself. St. Louis, too, I had concerns about their rotation last year because I didn't love 42-year-old Adam Wainwright being your ace. But he's continued to show that he can stay healthy for an entire season. I really, really hope they can get Jack Flaherty back to that rotation. Yeah. A lot of people have completely the talent that kid possesses. If Jack Flaherty can stay healthy, he is an ace in this league. We'll see if it happens.
How about the MVP market on both sides? Who do you have as maybe a front runner, like an easier, chalkier pick, and maybe someone that's a little bit deeper?
American League, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is interesting. I think the Blue Jays were maybe a little before the curve. Like, I think a lot of people thought the Blue Jays were going to break through last season. Guerrero made that statement that the preview to the movie, and everybody kind of freaked out. I think the Blue Jays are interesting, bringing in guys like Chris Bassett. That team's going to be really strong, and I think Vladdy coming in, by the way, in Rogers Center. I mean, the numbers are only going to go up, you would expect. Vladdy is an interesting pick in the American League. Byron candidate when he's on the field. Can he stay on the field? That remains to be seen. Luis Robert is another guy that if he can stay healthy, he has MVP talent as well. Last season, he was not healthy. Salvador Perez, MVP-wise, but he did lead the American League in home runs a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So if you're looking like super, super value, he's going to take his swings out there in Kansas City. National League, Juan Soto is going to be the favorite because of if you're looking for more value picks here, Trey Turner's interesting. Austin Riley, really interesting. Matt Olson is the highest paid player on the Atlanta Braves. He's going to have high standards as well. Bryce Harper obviously Harper isn't going to come back till mid-season. He's not going to win the MVP no matter how much money you put down on him. And Francisco had a strong season as well. So value pick wise, I like the value picks more in the American League than I do in the National League, just kind of looking top to bottom. One name I do want to throw in there as kind of a shoe-in, Christian Yelich. He's a guy that's been hurt by the shift as much as anybody in recent years. He's a guy that's ball hard, just not finding holes. Right now he's at plus 8,000. And we talked about Milwaukee. If Christian Yelich can become that 29 Christian Yelich again, maybe Milwaukee does make things interesting in the National League Central.
Well, you mentioned it. How about the shift? Keith was running through the rule changes with you before. Early on here, do you think we get run totals up? How much more action on the base pass? Like, how much more offensive do you think these games are going to look because of the elimination of the shift?
Yeah, I think it's going to impact defenders significantly because Kike Hernandez was mic'd up in game. I think it was yesterday. And he said he's having an issue because infielders are not able to start on the grass. He doesn't have an issue with not being on the right side of second base at the shortstop position. He has an issue because he feels like he's too close to the play. He likes getting a walk-in, pitches being delivered, and he can kind of cover more ground that way. So right now, infielders are having to adjust, and some of them feel like they're too close to the play. A hit, it was the first spring training game for the Atlanta Braves. Matt Olson hit a dribbler to the right side. Second baseman dove for it. Reach, ended up getting a base hit. Like a mirror image, that exact same play happened last year. They were probably inches away from one another. Of course, there was a second baseman sitting in right field last year, and he threw out Matt Olson on that play. I see a lot more ground balls that are being rewarded. They're incentivizing just making contact. I think strikeout numbers might be down a little bit. I think you might just see more contact, maybe a little bit higher batting average as well.
Want to ask you, we asked you about the MVP race. How about Cy Youngs? AL, NL, Cy Young, Danny. When you look at those two markets, Hunter Green, people have thrown out his name for maybe most strikeouts in the NL this year. Maybe a long shot play when you're looking at Cy Young because he's just got a brilliant arm and all the tools you're looking for. Do you get chalky when you look at those two races, or do you have a long shot for us?
If you look at Spencer Strider, he literally led in Major League Baseball history. Nobody has had a higher strikeout per 9 as a rookie.
9-1 odds. That's the one I'm touting. Yep.
His ability to strike out that many players in that time, but win a lot of games. So they're not any. Strider's still young. They're not going to ask Strider to go out there for 7, 8, 9 innings every time. So his ability to strike number, you gotta like.
But Danny, but just to playing off the, I don't mean to interrupt you, Danny, but playing off the conversation we just had about the elimination of the shift and rewarding contact. How much then do you think that impacts guys' launch angle, trying to hit the ball over the fence, and strikeout numbers across Major League Baseball? Don't disagree with you about Strider or Green or Cole last year with the Yankees and these guys, but don't you think then there's going to be a correlation if averages are going to go up, contact is going to be rewarded, there's going to be more action on the base pass, there are going to be more men on base. Can I then assume that strikeout numbers are also for starting pitchers or for pitchers in general also going to go down too?
That's safe to assume, but let's say that you take one strikeout per 9 off of Spencer Strider's total from last year, he's still going to average 14.9. Right. So yes, I agree with you. I think strikeouts could be down. I don't think, because this is happening overnight, I kind of described it. Went from powerlifting to CrossFit seemingly overnight. From a pitching standpoint, the training is going to be different. The hitting training is going to be different as well. So to expect these players to completely turn their approaches on its axis overnight, a lot to ask. So I think the numbers are going to be twisted a bit. But to say that the game is going to completely change overnight, I don't think we're going to see time it's going to play itself out. But we might not see the real, true what baseball is going to be maybe till May.
Moose, Danny just won me over, by the way.
Yeah, that's it. Well, you got to understand, Danny. I work with like a workout warrior every day. He sends me videos of when he was CrossFit training. He's done it all. He likes to flex for the camera. Like, it's just amazing.
It just happens accidentally. I mean, things just pop out. It is what it is,
He's very muscular. How about the Cy Young race, American League, National League, Danny? We talked about strikeouts. Anybody there that you think you're keeping an eye on, you think has a big year this year in baseball?
Oh, just looking at the American League. I mean, I love Tyler Glasnow before his oblique injury. That was a kind of sleeper pick. But now he's gone down again, and I had this stat pop up since 2018. Bartolo Colon has started Glasnow, which sucks because we just love seeing Glasnow on the mound. He's one of the most dominant pitchers when he's healthy. Don't sleep on Christian Javier. What that man did in the postseason last year, he had the perfect game through series. the stuff that kid possesses, and this is what tells me that Javier could be special. The Astros were okay letting Justin Verlander go just after winning a World Series. They were okay with letting Verlander go because they believe in Christian Javier.
Yeah.
And what he's been able to do with really only a 3-pitch arsenal, fastball, slider, changeup, he doesn't have much movement to his pitches. Now all with the baseball a little bit, gets a little two-seamer in there, maybe gets a little run to his fastball. The sky's the limit for Christian Javier.
I like Javier. By the way, just to jump in, I do like Javier. I like Valdez also. I think both of them, assuming that Houston is going to be a team that wins over 95 games, I think both of them are going to be in that conversation.
Another sleeper for the National League, Blake Snell, is getting closer and closer to his free agency. That guy has Cy Young stuff. He's won a Cy Young. He hasn't been able to have the consistency either. But with that rotation, with that lineup, he's got everything around him to help support him through a 162-game season. Maybe Blake Snell could have a breakout year once more.
Danny Vietti, CBS Sports, Wake and Rake Pod. Check him out with Middlebrooks. They do a fantastic job. Hey, Danny, great talk a little bit of baseball with you here on this Friday as we inch closer and closer to the start of the regular season. Have a great weekend. We got to get it on again real soon, all right?
Of course, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Fun stuff, man.
You were great. I mean, you did a fantastic job. I love talking baseball. You do. I mean, it's amazing. Yeah. I do think, though, that, it's going to look different. It's going to be very, from a gambling perspective, Keith, and you're going to be doing this nightly on MLB Network, and we do it daily, obviously, here on Better Sports Network. But I'm going to take a wait-and-see approach. I'm not talking about win totals for teams. There are teams I like. I don't love the Dodgers this year, like San Diego in the NL West.
Same.
I'm a little concerned. I think the Mets, even though I think they can get to 94.5 regardless, I think the Mets are going to learn from last year and place an emphasis on getting to October healthy rather than trying to squeeze every single last win out of the team during the course of the regular season. So there are things when I'm looking at kind of who doesn't like the Astros. I think the Yankees will have a good regular season. I think Peraza should be their starting shortstop on opening day. We'll see if that's the case later on this month. But from a game perspective, from a total perspective, either you get aggressive early and the books don't adjust to the run totals in games, because I think you're going to get more offense. I do. There's going to be, instead of, being 2 out, nobody on, 2-2 pitch, it's going to be 2 men on, 2 out, higher stress pitches, whether it be for starters and relievers. Stolen bases are going to go up, more action on the base pass. I do think more runs are going to be scored, less reliance on the home run. I think batting averages are going to go up. I think strikeouts are going to go down. And I think early on, I think something to maybe take advantage of, or maybe you want to take a wait and see approach to see exactly where run totals are in games. And maybe that's something you can take advantage of early before the books do adjust.
So let me just push back with one thing, because I think on the surface, I agree with you, but I was just thinking about something. The pitch clock. Who do you think it favors, the batter or the pitcher?
Great question.
Because I think early on it might favor the pitcher. I think it's easier for a pitcher to catch the ball back from the catcher and throw. Whereas for the batter, right? Ben Verlander.
Great video. I was just
did you see it?
Yeah, it was great.
Amazing stuff what he did there. And it was like a 6-minute video where he went over different scenarios for the hitter. And again, I'll grab my bat where, pitch comes in, I swing and I miss, whatever it was. And this is Ben Verlander who did this, not Keith Arizari. I'm just, again, shout out Ben Verlander, where, all right, now my bat comes down here. I look over to third. I have my sign. I take a deep breath. I go like this. I step in. And every time he did it, typically it was like 6 or 7 seconds left on that clock. So it's going to be hard. The other thing that he brought up that I had never thought about was high and tight pitch near your eyes. You go down, catcher throws it right back to the pitcher. You're still dusting yourself off.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. The other thing that he brought up that I never thought about, it's a rainy day. Okay.
But let me ask you this.
It's not even safe to just get right back in. You got to try to dry your hands.
That's great. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I don't know. I don't even know what the adjustment is, but can they forgo the pitch clock by just not throwing the ball right away back to the pitcher?
So I that's yes.
Can't you
So
delay it?
what I was
Can't the
thinking
ump call a
was
timeout? Can't an ump call a timeout on the field?
if if there's like almost a gentleman's agreement between the
Yeah.
teams, the catcher would catch the ball like up here, right, or whatever, like wildly, right, and he would wait a second. So I think that's what we're gonna see: the gentleman's agreement where insert catcher catches it high and goes, all right, I'm going to take a second. I'm not going to throw it back. All right. Juan Soto's on the ground right now. I'm waiting for Juan to get up. Once Juan steps up, now I'll throw it back to my pitcher.
Yeah.
I think, and that's where I say, like, let's not overreact to somebody. Yeah.
Why not overreact?
You and I aren't, but everyone else is.
I'm just, I say that. I say that sarcastically. It probably didn't come across that well, but I mean, I say because everyone just overreacts to everything. It really does. I mean, it's just, and we see that time and time again. Baseball's gonna be okay.
It'll be fine.
It's gonna be fine. It's gonna adjust, and it's gonna be something to get used to. And you watch, there's a ton of spring training games to kind of get used to it. From a viewing perspective, Keith, during the course of spring training, it's going to be all right. Leagues adjust. The NFL is more of a pass-happy league than it was 20 years ago because they adjusted the rules. Danny brought up the shot clock in the NBA, the shot clock in college. Like, everyone adjusts. At that time, they're like, wow, what do you mean? We can't play 4 quarters offense and hold on to our 10-point lead and just keep away the entire second half and just pass the ball around the perimeter? No, you actually have to shoot the basketball and give the opponent So this is going to be something. I do think it's going to bring back the game, and I'm older than you, but I think it's going to bring back the game that I really like. Number one, rhythm to the game. More speed, more action, hitting to the other side. There's just different things that, based on the athleticism and the way the game was being manipulated, and the way that bullpens were being used, that the game adjusted to the negative, where I don't think it was helping itself and trying to build more popularity. I think this is going to help bring fans back into the sport. It's going to be good.
I mean, it's like the NHL, right? The NHL was trying to get more fans to like it with more scoring. I think it worked for a little bit, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. By the way, today's the NHL trade deadline. We'll get into Kane. I'm going to tell you something as well, Keith. I'm going to throw at you next. Why it's a good day to be a Chicago Bear fan.
Oh, a good day to be a Bear fan?
It's a good day to be a Bear fan. We'll talk about it. I want to get your thoughts on it, and we'll do that next. It's Moose and Keith with you on a Friday right here. Sharapan will join us bottom of the 11 o'clock hour. We got you for a little bit less than an hour left, rolling right up until high noon. We're coming to you right here. Happy Friday, everybody. Better Sports Network.
Talk sports with Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla, Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on Better Sports Network.
Let me say something about Tiger. You know, Tiger has had to redesign his entire swing. Tiger has a difference in the length of his legs because of that horrible accident. You know, in golf, there's no like, hey, you can't walk the greens, you have to take a cart. So I assumed by day 3 on Sunday, you know, the inflammation would start. He took a couple breaks where they take care of his back a little bit, but it is fascinating watching him. So it gave me this thought, like, is he that skilled at golf? Or is this a mental thing of dedication and determination? He is so dedicated to the sport that no matter what, he's relentless to it. And the dedication and determination goes to the golf, the swing, the playing, the walking, but it goes to his overall health. The average person who doesn't stay in great shape, gets in an accident like that, goes through multiple surgeries, is not recovering and going out there to walk. And that course has some pretty steep inclines, a lot of walking. I mean, how else can you factor these athletes, you know, the Michael Jordans, the LeBrons, these players that just, their whole focus is really optimal health, optimal body skills, and then what comes next is being the best at what they do.
I think you just hit on why Tiger still has that drive. I don't know this, I don't know the man. It could just be love of the game. It could be, I want to make as much money as I can while playing. Could be all this stuff. But LA, a lot of people think Tiger Woods is the GOAT of golf. And I don't understand how you can be the GOAT of golf when you are 3 majors short of Jack Nicklaus. Okay? So, like, LeBron, I don't think he cares what guys like me say anymore, right? He's past Kareem. He thinks he's the GOAT. I mean, he's third on my list. He's in the debate. Many other people think he's the GOAT. He's not my GOAT. You know what I mean? So I wonder if Tiger is there, like LeBron. Like, I don't care what the pundits, what the barbershops say. I'm the GOAT. I don't have to do anything more. This is all gravy. I wonder if Tiger looks at it that way.
I don't know what Tiger's mindset is in the GOAT status, but when players talk about what it's like to be at a tournament, when Tiger's playing versus when he's not, they'll tell you that they're on the greens and they can hear the roar 4 holes over, and that there is nothing that compares to the excitement of when he's present.
Better Sports Live, Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific, exclusively on Better Sports Network. Or listen whenever you want on the app with BSN On Demand.
Flip mode.
It's Moose and Keith with Mark Malusis and Keith Irizarry.
That's it on a
Get
Friday.
you know DeLand, what you saying, yo?
Yeah,
What
look at
the dilly,
you.
yo. When I be on, I'm like, yes, I do my duty, yo.
So there was a report yesterday that came out of Indianapolis that Bryce Young, the Alabama quarterback, is wowing NFL teams. Now, I understand it's lying season, but this is, if I'm going to take it at its word that he's even, going to the board, breaking down defenses that he's never seen before, was obviously well thought of and is well thought of coming out of Alabama. The concern is his weight and his size, and not nearly 5'11", and he's trying to get his playing weight, over 195 pounds, or his weight up to 195 pounds. But so there are other concerns with him. But this is exactly, I mentioned going into break, what the Chicago Bears needed. And Keith, we talked about it a while back, right? With now the concerns about Jalen Carter off the field, and serious concerns about Jalen Carter off the field. The Alabama defensive lineman, who many believe was the number 1 defensive player in this draft. And we talked about, and you and I are both in agreement, that Justin Fields, I don't care what Mike Tannenbaum or anybody else has to say out there, and not trying to be critical of Tannenbaum, just being real here. Justin Fields is the Bears franchise quarterback, and he showed it this year. It's a little bit different, but still, he's the Bears franchise quarterback. They needed one of the two to separate themselves. When you look at Young and Stroud, as much as you like Levis, or you might think that the highest ceiling, because I've seen that, is Anthony Richardson out of Florida. Like, Anthony Richardson's not going number 1 overall because there's a fear of a tremendous floor or a drop-off where he could be an absolute bust, right, in the National Football League. See, somebody might gamble middle part of the first round. I don't think they're gambling on Anthony Richardson going number 1 overall. So they needed somebody to start to separate themselves between Young and Stroud. And I think Young is doing it. I bring that up, that it's good to be a Chicago Bear fan, because you need someone to, one of the two, conceivably, that we look at Stroud or Young as the top 2 quarterback prospects in this spring's NFL draft, to be the guy that 2 or 3 teams really want. And maybe Bryce Young is just doing that and starting to do that out in Indianapolis, based on some of the meetings and a number of the meetings that he's having with NFL teams, that he is wowing them based on his ability to decipher information quickly, go to the board, break down defenses, have an understanding where he needs to go with the football, to where teams are looking at him saying, I want him. And that's what the Chicago Bears need if they want to trade out of that number 1 pick and move down in the first round of the NFL draft and accrue draft picks either in this year's NFL draft or drafts in years to come.
Yeah, the Bears need Bryce Young to be so much better than the other 3 first-round potential QBs, whereas the Texans and the Colts, who have 2 and number 4, don't want to get stuck with CJ Stroud as their backup option. Like, that's what you need.
Yeah.
Right? And for the Bears to move down 1 spot to get number 2 and then still be able to draft whomever they want at that spot, whether they believe in, like whether they would go Jalen Carter, I don't know if they would anymore, whether it's Will Anderson, whatever it may be. That's the best case scenario for the Bears is that, right? At lowest, you move to 2 or 4.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I would agree with that. And probably, if you move down to 4, you're probably picking up an additional first-round pick.
Exactly.
Whether
it's next year or after, whatever.
Right, whatever it might be. You're adding more draft capital down the line, and you're still getting the guy that you want, because not even just from the hell with the fantasy perspective. I know we talk about fantasy sports. You're talking about football on the field. Justin Fields showed himself this past year to be the guy in Chicago. So I think early on here when we're, getting ready for the NFL draft, and I get not everyone's going to tell you the truth. I do believe that Young is having impressive meetings with NFL teams. I do believe that there are going to be teams that look at Young and maybe if, Felix Sharp joined us and said the concern he have about Bryce Young would be a lot of his plays are made not within the scheme of the play called, where he's able to lengthen out the plays and be able to find guys down the field. If you're looking at him to make plays within the play being called, remaining in the pocket, that's where he might struggle a little bit. That could be a concern. His size could be a concern. His weight could be a concern. Maybe there's a little bit of, a Tua fatigue where you're seeing Tua getting thrown like a rag doll and you say, well, if Tua's getting thrown around like a rag doll, what's it going to look like with Bryce Young? Okay, fair enough. But teams want to know that they can trust the guy that they're going to be drafting and that he can be able to have an understanding of what he is doing on the field and looking at on the field. And if Young's being this impressive with NFL teams right now, I think Young's starting to separate himself from CJ Stroud.
It appears so. It appears,
Yeah.
and I know that.
So it's going to be a Bear fan today. That's what you need to
Yeah.
hear. That's what you want to hear. That's what you need to see.
Right, because the worst case scenario for the Bears was going to be, Bryce Young, he looks good. CJ Stroud, he looks good. Will Levis, there's some upside there. He looks good. And Anthony Richardson, high upside. Because then it's like, oh, all right, if all four are about the same, then why do we need to trade up to one?
Right. If I view Stroud and Young as one and the same, they're different. We get it. But
yeah,
value-wise
going forward.
Right, correct. If I look at it and say they're both going to kind of be around the same guy, I'm not giving up a lot to go get the other guy.
Yeah,
or if anything at all, I'll be like, I'll just sit here and draft whoever is left, and I'll be happy with either one of them.
Yeah,
I mean that's what it looks like. So I mean, it's interesting that report coming out of Indianapolis. A couple other things, Keith. Sharapan's going to join us bottom of the hour. Number one, let's go over the NBA because we do know now that it is a tendon injury for LeBron James.
Yeah.
And not that he is going to be back in 3 weeks, that he's going to be reevaluated in 3 weeks with that tendon injury in his foot. Now, do you hold the Lakers or are you critical of the Lakers for allowing LeBron after he said he heard it pop, that he went back in the game that day?
So, all right. So yes and no. And this is such a weak answer, but I'm going to give you why. Here's the reason why I go yes and no.
I'm going to hold your feet to the fire. As you held Danny Vietti's feet to the fire and said, I need a pick. Like, I can't get yes or no.
Can I explain the yes and no, and then I'll give you the answer?
Yeah, let me hear.
All right.
Let me hear.
So the yes for the reason why I hold the Lakers accountable is because someone needs to know that he said, I heard it pop, and needs to tell him like almost take that option off the table for him to play the rest of that game, take him off the court for his own safety, right? But here's the reason why it's no. And this is not going to sound like the LeBron supporter that I am. Have we ever seen a 6'8", 260-pound man like LeBron James cry and fawn and yell and scream over injuries more? I mean, LeBron gets poked in the top of the head and goes down, and he's like banging the ground, and he's acting like he has a lot of soccer player tendencies.
Yeah, he's a great actor. Thespian.
I mean, Space Jam 2 should have won awards.
No,
he was so good. No, but that's why I go yes and no here. I mean, how did the Academy not give him awards?
I think he won the Razzie for the worst film. Is it Razzie or Razzle, something like that? I think it's a Razzie.
I don't know. No. What was the Dunphy Award from the Office? The Dundee Award, the Dunder Mifflin Award, the Dundies.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I want to hear just a quick story because you brought it up, and I find it funny. So we watch kid movies all the time, as you do, and everything. So my boys watch the original Space Jam, and then watch Space Jam 2. And
consecutively?
Well, within like a week span, not like we didn't sit
Okay.
there for like 4.5 hours watching
All right.
just Space Jam, but sat there within a week time, watched Space Jam, the original, and then watched Space Jam 2. And I was like, oh, and when they like something, they like to rewatch it. Like we watch, like Bluey is on, and it's a kid's show. And it's about dogs and everything, and they're Australian. It's hard to explain, but it's a very cute show for kids. They watch Bluey like every day. So they watch both movies, and my son, I was like, oh, you want to watch Space Jam 2 again? No, I'm good. Can we watch the original Space Jam? I was like, sure.
The original Space Jam, my boys have watched like hundreds of times. I feel
Yes,
like.
it's a great movie. Space Jam 2 was
And
just
you're right. Space Jam 2, we've never gone back to.
It's terrible. Because
See, I didn't think it was terrible. I just didn't think it was good. No. And not even for LeBron. No. I thought it was a below average movie. That's what I thought.
Yeah, I just, like, if you compare the two, like it was just so bad. I don't know. And I'm not trying to be overly critical. I just didn't find it enjoyable. Like Space Jam, I find enjoyable. Like I could go upstairs right now and flip on Space Jam, and there are scenes that I'd find enjoyable. Space Jam 2, like my son Jackson, I have no interest in ever going back.
Do you have a problem with Space Jam 2 because of I Believe I Can Fly?
Oh, what do you
like,
mean?
Because we're not supposed to like any music from that man anymore.
No. I didn't. Wasn't that.
You can differentiate for this.
Differentiate.
At least,
You know, obviously R. Kelly is an
terrible human being.
Terrible human being. No, it wasn't that. I just didn't.
Oh, The Sandlot. Yes,
just
Baby
didn't
J.
love it.
Your boys have watched Sandlot, right?
Yes.
Oh, Sandlot is great.
A great movie.
Although that's one that when you like Test of Time, I will say that like you play ball like a girl doesn't like I had to actually explain to the boys now that that's not nice to say. Like they like don't say that, you know. And I explained to them a little bit why. The Goonies, by the way, awesome. Jacob Assa. I would say Jackson could probably watch that. I don't know if your other two can.
I tried to watch The Goonies like a year and a half ago with Jackson. Yeah.
It's a little, yeah.
He wasn't into it.
Oh, he wasn't into it?
No, I'll try it again. But he wasn't into it. But yeah, The Goonies is great. Michael Ashton. Yeah, very good movie. I love The Goonies.
Whatever
very
her name is.
enjoyable.
You Goonie.
Is it Baby Ruth?
Oh, Rocky Road?
Yeah.
Sloth was his name.
Yes, it was
and the kid was Chunk.
Yeah, Chunk. That's exactly right. But yes, Goonies as we went down.
I love you. Oh, Sloth was great.
Movies were so much better then. Like Teen Wolf.
Breakfast Club.
Teen Wolf is like I could watch Teen Wolf Teen Wolf was awesome. Like the original one with Michael J. Fox.
I'm trying to remember.
It's time for you to wolf out. Could you? Wolf out there here for the wolf. Wolf.
Can I watch that with the boys?
I think there's some scenes. I don't know where you're at in talking to your kids about
like the racy stuff, like the
no, not like I'm talking about like the sexy scenes and stuff.
Well, because didn't she like meet him in the locker room or something?
There was a scene where the girl's in like her bikini.
Yeah, I think she took you don't actually see it, but I think she dropped everything off. Yeah,
like I'm at a point where like we'll watch a movie and there's two people kissing and Jackson will be like, "Yeah, that's gross."
Exactly. Yeah.
So
they get like weirded out by it.
Yeah, they get weirded out. Can you fast forward this? I'm like, sure.
Well, that's where I told you I got to figure out if I can watch Gladiator with the boys. So did I tell you this? So I went on IMDb because IMDb's got that thing on the bottom for the parental code thing.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Do they?
Yeah. Oh, it's really important. So any of these like 1980s, 1990 movies, if you're thinking about watching with the boys, just realize that whatever was PG then is probably PG-13 now.
You're so tech savvy.
I really am. You still don't even have a shared calendar.
I know. I have no idea. Where do you find all the time? Like you have an amazing amount of. You must be great in time management.
I am. I thank you. I'm gonna. You know what?
You're like, smiling. I mean, like you're brimming with God. Like I am terrible with time management. You seem to be awesome with time management. I'm multitasking, doing it all.
Yes. Yes. So when you go to, you see how weird I am sometimes with compliments. Like I know that I have this whole like, you know, persona and you guys joke around about like the weightlifting and stuff, but like I am like Jody says this all the time for what you and I do for a living. pretty darn cool, right?
Yeah.
And like when she's like, you get so awkward. Like if we're at an event or something like that, at a dinner, and there's like a husband, it's usually a husband
Oh,
of
no doubt.
someone who, oh my God, I do know you. I've seen you do this, blah, blah, blah. No, yeah, thanks. And then they want to like talk to you about it. Like she's like, you get so awkward. I'm uncomfortable about it. Like I am. Like I kind of just want to be there and not.
Yeah, you just want to be one of the guys.
Yeah. But
yeah, you don't want to be Joe Cool or you have a great
No.
job. It's all that.
So IMDb, we'll double back to it. So this is where
Everyone
it is.
talks about that. Let me tell you about the time I slept in my car outside of a radio station during a snowstorm so I could make sure I was there at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Let me tell you about the time I made $75 to do a double header of girls lacrosse in New Jersey that was 3 hours away from my house. And by the time I got home, I did not actually make money for it with tolls and gas. Let me tell you about that time.
Right. No, we both love what we do. I'm just joking around.
No,
but I'm with you as far as I don't love like breaking down sports when I'm not talking about sport. I don't know. It's weird.
It's
like when you're at a family barbecue and like my father-in-law is like trying to break down the Yankee lineup. I'm like, I just want to have a burger and a hot dog.
Although I guess it does kill the silence, right? Like that you can always kill the silence.
Yes, it does. Right.
Yeah.
No, there are worse things to talk about. No, I'm just joking. I'm not like that. I try and have a good time and
be great if you. I'm picturing Moose at a party, like Donna's got a bunch. It's a bunch of the dads and moms from one of the hockey teams, and it's at your house or whatever, and people are talking, and I'm picturing Moose be like, no, I'm not talking Yankees today. All right, I'm not.
No, I don't like. I'm not like that.
Did you see season 3 of Outer Banks yet?
No.
Okay.
Well, here's the problem. Like, I don't have a lot of depth. And what I mean by that is, like, I don't watch much else. Like, I can't go to like the Outer Banks or some Netflix show.
Outer Banks is good. Season 3 already. We're 3 episodes in.
I'm not like I could talk about it. I like to poke fun of myself, but like I don't like watch a ton of other things. Like I'll watch The Mandalorian. My wife hates Star Wars, so we can't talk about The Mandalorian.
Yeah,
like people talk about Succession, or isn't that the show
TV show that's they just announced that they're doing the final season. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet either. Which
it's my wife's watching it, loves it. Right?
Kelly Nash from MLB Network. I saw her last night. MLB NHL Network. She's in a few episodes. I didn't even realize.
Used to film it at SNY where I used to work. Right.
Yeah, I didn't realize. Yeah.
But I don't watch a lot of those. Like I just don't. So when you're out and about, like it's all about sports.
Yeah.
Like it's that or talking about like the kids' hockey.
Exactly. Right. Like how many times have you been out to dinner and the next thing you know, it's like both of the couples or the 3 couples, all you're doing is talking about your own children. Like it's not the bragging
like
necessarily, just talking.
Or what they're doing.
Oh yeah. Can you believe little Jimmy? He's got to do this project. So does Debbie. Yeah.
It seems to be the hot topic of conversation like all the time.
Yeah. I'm gonna pull us back. So IMDb. Here's my lesson of the day for you. Okay. Let's pull it full circle.
My lack of depth.
Your lack of depth. I'm going to help your depth here. So if you go on IMDb, there's a parental thing on the bottom where they break down based on like goriness, sexuality, and cursing, right? So like it'll tell you can actually click and it'll tell you when curses happen, how bad the curses were. For Gladiator, I just looked like there's one scene where they talk about incest. But like that'll probably go over the top of the head of most kids. Like they won't really understand that. There's obviously murder there because it's a Gladiator. There's killing in it.
Yeah. It's very gory.
Yeah. So like, but from reading it,
the guy's arm gets cut off.
I think I'm okay for Austin to see it. I don't think Alex at 8 years old can. And the reason I bring that up is because we're doing Italy this summer. We've talked about that, and we're gonna go to Rome and we're gonna go to the Colosseum. And I was kind of thinking like it would be kind of cool if the boys are like, Maximus, like they know the scenes. So I think I'm gonna watch it through.
Are you gonna do tours?
Jody's in charge of setting that stuff up.
What's on? You're going to Rome, right?
So it's Rome for 3 days. Then we get on the cruise.
Okay. So are you gonna go see? Are you gonna go see the Vatican?
Is that in Rome?
Yes.
Then yes.
Yeah, you should. I mean, you don't have
Yes.
to. You don't have to be super religious.
Is that like where's Sistine Chapel?
Is there? You have to take a
Yeah,
special
so I'm
tour.
sure we're gonna do that stuff. Yes.
Yeah, and then you have to go see the Colosseum.
Yes.
Okay. Rome's
And then
Rome-
lots of pasta.
Oh, food's amazing. And when I went like 22 years ago, but pizza's great, food's great, coffee's amazing. It's not super expensive. I don't know what it is now. Obviously, the world has changed, the marketplace has changed, finances have changed, but it's amazing. Rome is it's so it's crazy like how populated it is, and it's very like when we went there, we went in September, and it's just hot, like sultry hot.
Yeah.
Like, but we had a blast. Went
It's
to
hammock weather.
Yeah, yeah, right. Exactly right. You'll love it. You'll love it. You guys are gonna have a great time.
So we are Rome for 3 days, hop on the cruise. Then it is the first stop, I believe, is Turkey, like Ephesus or something like that.
Okay.
Then we go to Greece, and I think it's Mykonos.
Mm.
And I think there's a second place in Greece, and then it's 2 more places in Italy, and I don't remember where. But I know that we have to book all the day excursions and stuff. I thought it was Napoli, maybe.
Okay.
Does that sound right?
Maybe. I don't know. It could be. Yeah.
But yeah, so like I know we still have to book all the excursions and stuff like that, and we gotta like book that through there. And basically they had said that just book it about 2 or 3 months prior to get that stuff booked.
Florence. Venice is great. Florence. Me and my sister's like
Venice is where the birds are on you, and like you stand in the middle of the thing and all the birds go on you. Can you do that in Venice?
Yeah,
right?
Well, yeah.
So we're not doing that. We won't be
one
in
of the
Venice.
squares. Correct. You can do that.
That's not one of the places we're going to be.
Florence.
Florence sounds good. I'm sure I could look this up, right? I don't know.
All right. I'm glad you know where you're going on vacation. I'm just naming Italian cities. Assisi.
Yes. Just and everything you have to say like this, right?
Yeah.
Do I have to talk like this the whole time?
Hey. Anyway, we were talking about LeBron, and then we got into the wormhole of Space Jam 2.
Oh yeah. So I blame the Lakers more than I blame LeBron.
Yeah, I think
your staff, your training staff has to at least at minimum, like when he got pulled off the court.
Well, my question is, did he make it worse, or was it just going to be what it was regardless?
Yeah, I mean, I guess right, like
once
Achilles,
popped,
everyone knows right away.
Right, once
that
it
burning
popped,
thing. Yeah,
I mean, like if he heard it pop and he injured the tendon right then and there, and said, "No, listen, I'm going to gut my way through it, and we're going to figure it out, and I'm going to play the rest of this game." Like that would be my question for the medical staff. I have no idea. Like I'm not a medical doctor. Wasn't smart. I don't work in medicine, nor am I going to tell you.
You about to say I wasn't smart enough to do that?
Yeah, right. So I'm gonna tell you the very fact of like I have no idea if he made it worse. If he made it worse, then yeah, you blame the Lakers. If the injury is what it is, like and it's just going to be a case of it just happened. Him playing through pain did not make the injury worse because it already concurred, then I blame nobody. Like they went out, they won the game. He decided to play. It was a game that, they felt like it was important to go out there and do, and he was going to be out regardless.
Yeah. And now you got to start worrying about, I don't know how they overcome the deficit in the loss column.
They're not overcoming that.
No, I mean, they're done. And now, but the
only thing that helps the Lakers is if people come back to the pack. If they play 500 basketball, and that's good enough for them to get to the playoffs because all these other teams are on the descent.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, is it conceivable? Like, there's no way you could look at it and say the Lakers are going to rip off a stretch where they go, 14-3, like without LeBron James. That's not happening. But can you realistically look at it and say, well, if the Lakers play 500, is it possible for them to get into that 7 through 10 play-in where other teams regress, and just by the fact that they play 500, they're able to get themselves in? Is that possible?
Yeah.
I mean, anything's possible. I don't think it's probable, but it's possible.
Yeah.
So,
all right, on the other side of the break,
yeah,
we got your boy Dave Sharapan. He filled in yesterday. Do you know that I called him Moose right off the top of the show by accident?
I did not.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
missed you too, Keith. Thank you.
Yeah. I was like,
Sharapan's
you know,
great,
Dave
though.
Sharapan's in for Moose.
Did he change outfits every? Yeah,
He
like,
changed hats mid-interview.
oh, that's amazing.
With Jastrzemski, he ended up because we ran the gamut with all the New York teams.
Yeah.
And he had a Rangers hat, a Yankees hat, I believe a Mets hat, had a Jets or Giant, might have had a Giants hat. He at one point put a headband on.
I love that.
It was nuts. It
Sharapan.
was. Oh, I don't know if he's watching yet. You know what? I'm going to text you something on the side that I want you to say to him.
Okay,
Because you got to pick on him. I'm going to text you on the side.
Okay, we'll do. Sharapan joins us next. It's Moose and Keith with you on a Friday right here, Better Sports Network.
Moose and Keith, weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern on Better Sports Network.
Calvin Ridley yesterday, he applied for reinstatement from the National Football League.
Ridley, Kirk, Zay Jones, Travis Etienne, Trevor Lawrence. That is crazy potent on offense.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I mean, Ridley's great.
I think Trevor Lawrence is a guy I want in fantasy this year.
I think you're probably right. I think they're just going to get better and better. First off, Peterson's a wonderful offensive mind, a great head coach, and we've seen that and saw that this year as Jacksonville made it to the postseason. And Trevor Lawrence, anybody that questioned whether or not he could play in the National Football League or just how good he was going to be in the NFL, those questions were answered this past season as in the second half of the year. Statistically speaking, he was a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. That's how good Trevor Lawrence is. You throw Calvin Ridley into the mix, he's going to be great. Yeah, I think Lawrence is a guy you want. I think Ridley's a guy you want. Clearly, Travis Etienne is going to be one of those early, first-round selections as well, being the dual-threat running back that he is, not only running, but also catching the ball out of the backfield, Keith, and the ability to take something small and take it to the house. Take a 5-yard dump pass, make a guy miss in the open field, and he's gone. I mean, you saw that with Travis Etienne this past season for Jacksonville. Yeah, sky's the limit. I mean, I think you're going to go from a team in the year span where you wanted no part of the Jacksonville Jaguars when you're looking at fantasy football to where you want as many Jaguars as you possibly can because they're going to be really, really productive. And let's see if they get their tight end back as well. Who had
Evan Ingram was great.
And Evan Ingram, who was great this past season.
Yeah. I mean, if they keep that whole core together, their offense is going to be one of the best in football. Like, I legitimately think that they could be one of the best offenses in football.
Zay Jones, Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk, then you throw
Ridley,
Travis Etienne, Trevor Lawrence, a good offensive line, and you've got Doug Peterson being creative calling.
Right?
And you look at that division. The Colts are a mess.
Yep.
Titans
look like they're on the downslide.
Titans are on the downslide, right? That window is clearly closed. And then you got the Houston Texans.
Years away from relevancy.
Yeah.
I mean, Jacksonville could win 11 games next year.
Moose and Keith, weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern on Better Sports Network. It's Moose and Keith with Mark Malusis and Keith Irizarry.
NHL trade deadline. What is it, 3 o'clock today?
3 p.m. Yeah, we got NHL Network coverage going on right now. It was starting up at 10 o'clock in the morning. NHL Tonight was going to have a special 1-hour show from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m.
What's left to trade?
Erik Karlsson.
Everything. It has been in 7-8 days in the National Hockey League with the player movement.
And then some big signings too. Pasta gets over $11 million per year, right?
Yeah, $90
Dylan
million.
Larkin over 8. Did you see Dylan Larkin tried to get 8.71 because he wanted the 71 to be part of it. It ended up being just the 8.7. Poor guy.
Well, good for him. And Kane made his debut last night for the Rangers, but they fell to the Ottawa Senators 5-3, your final last night at Madison Square Garden, even though he said the atmosphere is unbelievable. Dave Sharapan joins us now from Vegas.
Now it's time for Floyd Mayweather's uncle, Dave Sharapan.
Uncle Dave.
Who says that?
Where's
against your heart?
we have?
You want to just lay it right out?
Feel your words, the tender trembling moments start. We're in a world.
So Dave, explain something to me. Do you not know what a bucket means?
Wait a second, Moose. I had to fill in yesterday for you.
Yes.
And you're going to come at me. That's the first question. You're going to just go, you don't know what a bucket is?
Well, because birdies have told me that you were unaware. I was just curious. You did not know what a bucket is?
I thought I knew what a bucket was. And I do know now exactly what a bucket is for the kids. All right. But I apparently used it wrong, said it wrong, and now you're calling me out in the safe space. We thought this was a safe space, and you're going to come right now and say, I don't know what a bucket is. I know damn well what a bucket is. Hold on. I'll show you what a bucket is. Hold on, man. I'm coming right back.
What is going on? I think you broke Dave.
I have no idea.
Where
did Dave go? Dave's coming back. What's a bucket?
I know. How much you want to bet it's going to be a bucket hat? How much you want to bet? I'll bet you money.
You want a bucket? I got a bucket right here.
Okay. LL Cool D. Ladies love Cool Dave.
Look at you. I love that.
Back to Cali. Come on now.
That's it.
Sometimes I sit in my room.
This is a bucket.
Mama said knock you out.
Damn right.
Farmers what? Farmers what? Of the three phrases that you, essentially learned yesterday, even though you're trying to tell us that you understood the other two.
Yeah.
So if you were a basketball player, do you want to be called a bucket? Do you want to be called him? Or do you want to be called built different?
Bucket. Are you nuts? Bucket minus 8,000.
Yeah, you know.
That's the only thing I want to be called. Him? Good. Stop.
Him is overused and can be used in every single sport.
It's what I was going to say, way overused.
Yeah.
They all do this stuff. Stop. And built different is nice and probably most factually true, but 2 words, 1 word, 2 words.
The thing I'll say about built different, I think built different is something that it's very easy to say yourself. And then you do the shrug thing, right? Like, have you seen the guys do it when they go built different and they like throw their shoulders at you? They do that.
No,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a big thing.
Most you've seen this? They do this?
Yes, I've seen that. Yes. Yeah. I'm up on the times. I'm with it.
Yeah,
I'm him.
Someone there's 3 of us. 2 of us are with the times. And I'll let everyone else decide who.
Okay. Say 1.5 or with
1.5.
You're giving me too much credit. You're giving me too much credit.
I'm gonna walk into AAU practice tonight, and I'm gonna look around, and I'm gonna start calling people. I'll be, yo, he's a bucket. See?
Yeah. And then
Dave,
all the kids are gonna look at you and go, "Who's that old bald guy over there? And why does he keep saying that?"
I'm not that old yet. We're getting close. We are getting close. I know.
Yeah. No, let's talk about it. We're all young. We're all young at heart.
For sure.
Well, at heart, yeah. I don't know.
Yes, for sure.
and
I'm 10 years old at heart. Come on.
Dave, has the NHL
up here.
everything we've seen in the National Hockey League, has it changed your perspective on any teams?
I'm sorry.
What do you, is this when you pull out the modeling pictures now?
No.
Is this what happens? Just asking me a serious question. We're trying to conduct an interview.
Is there a show going on right now? Because I've lost it.
What are you doing?
I don't know. I'm trying.
You're supposed to be the professional. Please. You're the guy I figure be wearing a suit today or something. Come on. No, Moose, to answer your question, no. I don't think one thing has, like, there's not even one. In Kane going to the Rangers, it's not like we didn't know that was going to happen. It was just a matter of when it would happen. Getting to see it last night, I was glued to that game. I watched that entire game yesterday.
How great was the scene at the Garden? It was awesome.
It was awesome. It was awesome. Like, as much as I can't stand the Rangers, just from the years of not liking them and then getting a feel for how much
cheapest
fun
ticket
it is.
to get in the building last night was $300.
Come on, really?
Yeah.
To see a regular season game against Ottawa?
So a buddy, I think I mentioned this, Keith, earlier. A buddy of mine was, Brian Monzo. He produces Mike Francesa's podcast, right?
Yeah.
So he was looking to go to the game, and was looking at tickets last weekend, and they were $110 a ticket, right? You're not talking about not talking about center ice and those tickets, right? Just getting built like 110, decent seat, whatever. Those same tickets after the Kane deal became official were $240.
So Showtime does.
But it was great. I mean, listen, it's a regular season game, but it just struck different. Like, it really, I mean,
of course,
it was a great moment.
The hockey
they played
games,
awful, but it was a great moment.
I was going to say, well, you know what? I don't know if they played awful. Ottawa's really good. Ottawa's competitive. Ottawa can skate. And
They've won
if
4
Ottawa
in a row
gets
now.
If they get goaltending moves, they're completely legit. I was impressed. But to answer your question, no, not one move, even the Kane move, was enough to impact odds. It might impact perception. I want to see where Kane fits in. But to me, that trade, and KI and I talked about it briefly yesterday, it only adds to what they do already.
Right.
They skate fast and score goals. They're not physical, I don't think, enough. And they could use one more, I don't know, nasty defenseman.
Yeah.
They need Ulf Samuelsson to come back. You remember Ulf?
Not available.
No.
I don't think he's available. By the way, I just got a notification on my phone.
Yes.
I would like to read a tweet to everybody.
Please do.
Courtesy of Better Sports Network.
Yes.
On Twitter, Better Network. He is a certified bucket. Sportsbook Consig joins Mark Malusis and Keith Irizarry to chat NBA and learns a couple new phrases along the way.
I mean,
certified
seriously?
Bucket. You're a certified
bucket.
Yeah, you're a certified bucket. Well, didn't you see?
I tell my kids, they're going to be so mad.
So certified bucket will do that. Did you? It will flip it over to the NBA in the comeback game for the Lakers over the Mavericks, the one that LeBron got hurt in, that Anthony Davis hit not the go-ahead shot, the shot that made it a 3-point game. Were you able to read it? See, like, that's where you should have known. Were you able to read his words or no?
No, I did not. I didn't see it. No. What do you say?
He used an expletive that involves moms and something else. Okay.
Oh,
got it.
Well, we're gonna bring moms in.
Yeah. I am that bucket.
Oh,
they quickly. Yeah. Whoa. Whoa. Yeah, you got it now.
It just hit me.
Yeah.
It's been a rough morning here. I don't. It's been a little bit crazy. Oh no.
Okay.
No. It's been a rough week. Like we're busy doing a lot of stuff. Me and Peralta are doing Bostonian versus the book. It's a big today's show 299. If you'd have told me we were going to do a show for 299 episodes, I wouldn't have believed you at the beginning. We would have been a dog. We would have cashed. So we're doing all that. Today is the last day of reading week for the 9-year-old, third grader. Every day is something. Yesterday was Tacky Tourist Day. The day before was Wear a Jersey Day.
Oh, yeah.
Today, big day, Wear a Hat Day.
Is this reading or Dr. Seuss week?
No, this is reading week. This is big book week, book fair week, all kind of. I don't know exactly the exact term, but it was Wear a Hat Day to school today.
How does
you
she
understand the depth that the 9-year-old little Consig went into to pick a hat today?
And what was the choice?
Oh, I'm going to share it later on the Twitter.
Oh, okay. All right.
We got a curveball thrown into the whole day when the kid's car had to stay at the shop and the carburetor or something, a transmission, everything has to be rebuilt. I got a $3, told you fix it. It's for $3. Oh, $3. Okay. So I had to drive the wife to work this morning. You can only imagine how that went.
Putting $3,000 into it?
I listen. Moose,
Was this the car from Carlos? Wasn't it Carlos?
This is Carlos's. I
See,
said
I
call Carlos.
But doesn't it become a point where the car valued at like $10,000, $11,000, $12,000? Like, is it worth putting $3,000 into it?
Well, we got it for $3,000.
And you just put $3,000 into it?
We're gonna put $3,000 into it today. Yes, this is the life we live here. I don't ask questions other than where's the money coming from. That's all I want to know. And my wife said, you know what she said to me, Moose? Sound like Donna. Do more shows. Go call Moose and Keith. Go see if you could get on another day. See what you could do. Do you have anyone else that would like to host the show so they can listen to your crap? I said, oh, thanks, Jess. Have a good day, dear. See you later.
Love you, honey.
Yeah. And we just blew 600 at the hockey game, Moose. I took Jess and the girls, everybody, to the game against the Carolina Hurricanes.
Yeah.
Just the night before.
Nice win for Vegas.
It was a hell of a game. I mean, Carolina.
Now Jonathan Quick is a Vegas Golden Knight.
Yeah.
What's that?
That was
Jonathan Quick is a Vegas Golden Knight.
Yeah, it came at you quick.
Explain that one to me, boys. Explain that one.
He never wanted to go to Columbus. We knew that. He wanted to be somewhere that there's a chance that he could win a cup. Now, listen, he's not going to be the starting goalie there, but he adds to that locker room, and he's in an environment where he could potentially win a cup.
I hope.
Simple as that.
I guess so.
April 6th is the game you mark down on the calendar, by the way.
Yeah.
That's the next time Vegas plays against the Kings. It's not in LA, it's in Vegas. Also, it's my birthday, so feel free, guys, if you want to send stuff.
Wait. When's your birthday?
April 6th. Yeah, April 6th.
Wait, April 6th?
April 6th. We're
I like to write this down.
Write that down. April 6th.
Write that down, guys.
Hold on a second.
I can send you guys my addresses if you need to send me anything.
Birthday.
Yeah. Sweatshirts large, t-shirts medium.
We go
medium.
Medium. Yeah.
You go youth medium.
Yeah, no.
Nice and tight.
Now we're talking.
I'm
now
a little too broad for youth, okay? We're a little
now
too
who's the bucket?
I don't know
now
about
we're
that.
talking.
Maybe youth large, depending on the fabric.
There he goes. This is why he likes to be built different, because he likes to do the thing.
Little Hercules.
Oh, I'm down for that. Yes.
See what's going on.
You know what was nice, guys? You know what was nice? I hadn't been in. So, now being back in Jersey for the NHL shows a little bit more lately.
Oh, boy.
I hadn't seen one of my baseball producers in a while.
Yeah.
And he was like, dude, are you just working out all winter? He's like, you look great. I'm like, oh my God. I wanted to hug him. Right. Yeah. Yeah, it was nice. It was good. It was good.
These kids know how to
Wait,
do
Dave, does it strike you like a lot of the Keith stories end up with someone complimenting him about his looks?
I usually compliment other people too. You know what I told Steve Conroy yesterday?
Like no, it wasn't a case of I haven't seen this producer in a while. It wasn't about him. It was like he told me I look great.
Well, yeah, it was nice. Hey, it was good. It felt good. So Steve Conroy yesterday tells us his age, and obviously you could Wikipedia it and you can find it out, but I didn't realize he was the age that he was. My reaction was, dude, your skin looks amazing. Stu Grimson looks at me and goes, it's kind of a weird reaction of a compliment. I'm like, why is that a weird reaction? Look how good his skin looks, like that. And Stu goes, I guess mine does. No, not me. I'm like, Stu, you could definitely beat me up. I know that.
Well, but that's where you got to be honest and be like, no.
Yeah, I'm like, Stu, you could beat me up. Halfway through the show, we go to commercial. Stu looks at me, goes like that. I'm like, your skin looks great, man. You look great.
Right. You got to do it.
Yeah, mostly because he could beat me up. Like easily.
Especially those guys.
Stu was a fighter. Yes. No. Yeah. He actually is going to this fighting.
Grim Reaper.
Yeah. So there's a thing in Philly this week. They invited a bunch of like the people that were known, like Matthew Barnaby's going to be there, like people who were like scrappers and fighters and stuff like that, to come take part in some Philly Fight Fest thing.
That's great.
Where they're going to talk about some of their legendary hockey fights.
That's awesome.
He was flying out. I think he was flying out this morning to head down.
It's speaking of fights.
Yes.
I found out yesterday that I am a credentialed media member for the UFC now.
Good for you.
That's
great.
I'm going tomorrow to cover that UFC event here in Vegas, John Jones's return.
Really?
Yes. Peralta and I are going. So we're going to go, and I don't know exactly what I'm going to do.
As a UFC expert now, who do you like in
Yeah.
the fight?
In all your years of being a UFC
If you're a
expert.
credentialed member of the media,
this is
so
amazing.
you are a UFC aficionado. Who do you
Yes.
like in the fight?
So this is crazy, right? Today on Bostonian versus the Book, we're having on, his name's Nicky Kalikas, dear friend of mine.
You should get
He
Minty
does
Bets
the
on
number.
too. Get
What's
Minty
that?
on. Get Minty Bets on.
Nicky does the numbers at Circa.
Okay. All
Nicky has experience offshore as well. He
Oh,
lives in
nice.
Vegas, and he does shows, he does content, but he's still writing bets and doing numbers like for blood, like I like to call it. Like he's doing, this is his main gig. So he's going to come on today and give us, all of this stuff, kind of insight, what the number opened, where it moved, all kind of things. But in the main event, John Jones is going to win. Business is business. John Jones is winning this fight. That's as simple as that. I learned a lot about UFC having to book it when all the sports went away. UFC was the only thing going on for a period of time in the world. And I had to learn the fighters. And what I did was reach out to a lot of people that I know in the space and said, help me with this number. What is your opinion about this? And then shade numbers. And we did really well. I've been told that the 5 main event fights, the main event is Jones and Gone, but
like on the main card.
The main card, the other 4 fights in addition to that are going to be excellent fights. A couple of the numbers are ridiculous. Like you can't lay gigantic favorites minus 800 in the women's fight. That means she's going to win. But you find totals, you find different things.
Are you excited?
I am. Like I am still.
I don't believe you. Didn't believe that.
No.
That was it.
Yeah,
Moose.
I'm excited.
Yeah,
hold on. Wayne's World. This. Diddle-loop. Let's redo this. Moose, can you ask the question again, please?
Dave, are you excited?
I am so excited to go to the event. I don't know yet what I'm going to be doing. That's because I'll be walking around shaking hands, kissing babies, and going, "Do you believe we're here at this fight?" And Matt might be the guy going, "Dave, stop doing that. You're a member of the media now. You can't be a fan."
Yeah.
Last time I went to the press box, for MLB Network, got me the credential. They're like, "You can't wear this. You can't do
Was
that."
that Dodgers game?
Yes, I went to a Dodger game.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm here. I was enjoying the game. Why can't the media people enjoy the game?
I don't. That's a great question.
Yeah. Hey, so speaking of fights,
yeah,
Wyoming is now a place where you can legally gamble on the slap fight championships.
What the hell's going on?
By Dana White.
Why?
I'm just. I wanted to bring this up with you. Okay.
That's the $1 million question. Why?
Your reaction is why. I don't have the answer. You're the guy that used to, live in the book. So explain this to me and how this becomes a thing.
I wouldn't book it. I would literally stand on the table and say, we're not putting this up. We're not booking it. I don't care. You guys can tell me how much money we're going to make and all this other stuff. It's nothing but trouble. The product is, I don't even know what that is. Stand there and let me whack you as hard as I can in the face.
Yeah.
There's
if you flinch, you lose points, I think, too.
Whatever the scoring is sounds ridiculous. Like, where have we come? I like the fights. I love the fights. I remember, the first fight I ever went to see in person at a pay-per-view was on 2 screens at the Florida Civic Arena. Was Hagler Hearns. That was the closed circuit. It was a little movie screen on each end of the floor. And I went with my dad and all his coworkers, and I was 12 years old and thought I was the coolest dude in the world. Saw one of the best fights of all time, and I was hooked.
Yeah.
But now, Slap League.
So what I have to do, by the way, and as a true journalist, I have to correct myself.
That's where we're at.
So slap fight championship is different than power slap. And apparently they're rivals. So there's two slap fighting leagues, okay?
Two?
There are two.
Yeah, we have one is not enough.
We're devolving here.
Like we need two, apparently.
This is my sons are going to grow up where slap fighting is a thing. Like I grew up watching Marvin Hagler, Sugar Ray Leonard, thought about George Foreman, Mike Tyson, the Spinks brothers.
And it's just here.
Like, and now we're to slap fighting.
So
now we're watching people literally sit there and slap each other and see someone get knocked out cold. Like that's where we're at here.
Like this. Watch. Here it is.
I'm in agreement with you.
Yeah.
Like what are we doing? What are we doing? Like, I agree with you. If I was I never did it, you did. Like, why would you ever want to take a bet on that?
Never. I wouldn't do it. Sometimes, I mean, I heard it an FM DJ say it when I was a kid, and I live it. Try to live it every day. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Somebody's got to just stand up and say, "Listen, this is a bad idea. I don't care how much money it is. I don't care if you have a sponsor. I don't care if you think you can take bets on it. Stop."
Yeah, I mean, but if Zeus is in the fight, obviously, he's always a favorite. I love me some Johnny Juice as well. You got to watch out for Wolverine. White Simba has quite the record at slap fight.
You think Sylvester Stallone will make a movie on slap fighting like he did for arm wrestling, Over the Top?
It's like a switch.
You ain't got a prayer in Vegas.
He's like,
I mean, we're all men. We like that movie.
Come on. The movie's a great movie.
If you don't like that movie, come on. Yeah, I don't want to be your friend.
Over the Top was a great when he's driving the truck and he's training as he's driving the truck.
Yeah,
it's just amazing.
Like literally, I don't want to be your friend if you don't like that movie. Yeah.
Right.
I know.
Right. You know what I'm going to do today, by the way? I'm going to sneak and see Creed 3. Did you see the previews for
Oh my God, it looks amazing. So that's another one. Hey, Moose, that's another one I got to figure out if I can bring the boys to, because we don't have sports tomorrow night. I'm wondering if I can get if I can bring the boys to the theater to see that tomorrow night.
You should. I'm in Jersey tomorrow morning. Jackson's got Donna's down in Jersey right now for a hockey tournament, and it continues tomorrow. I'm staying overnight in Jersey tomorrow.
Nice. Oh, the travel schedule's already. Moose, I wish
you should go see it. The reviews look great.
Oh, I'm definitely going to see it.
You're going tonight, Dave, you think?
I may go sneak this afternoon and watch a matinee in between shows. Me and Matt are going to do Bostonian versus the Book after this.
Okay.
Then I have
Show
a little bit of
299
lull in the afternoon, and then I have Sports Grid and stuff later. Big Kid Sig has 2 games at the field. She told me this morning we're gonna run roll this team. You don't need to come.
Is that a McGillney jersey you're wearing?
No, this is a Hughes jersey. It was given to me by a sportsbook person.
Oh, love it. Jack Hughes, amazing.
Shout out New York, baby. Long Island's finest.
Beautiful. All right, we're done.
That's
Have
it.
a great weekend, everybody. See
Roll
you
it
Monday.
out.
Roll it out.
Later, everybody. I guess.